33 years now since I first danced a 5 Rhythms wave, which happened in an encounter group late one night. And someone said, oh, let's make masks. And we just got out paper and we quickly drew some patterns on a paper, and I put this mask on, and then they put this music on. And the moment the music came on, I just went into a trance. And 40 minutes later, I took my mask off and I was like, what was that music? And they said, oh, some American dancer called Gabrielle Roth. I don't know who she is, but you can, don't know anything about her, but you can copy the tape if you like. So I did. I made a copy of the tape, and I took that tape home, and I used to draw the curtains and put the tape on and try to rediscover that trance-like feeling that I'd had in the group with the mask. And then 3 years later, in 1991, a friend of mine, Lee Tolson, was visiting me for a few days, and he had a copy of a book called Maps to Ecstasy by Gabrielle Roth. And I picked it up and I read the back cover and I read a couple of pages inside. And 2 hours later, I had decided to sell my house, leave my job, and go in search of my soul. And at the time, I didn't make the connection with having picked up the book at all. It was a conversation that Lee and I were having, and I was sick of my job and I didn't want to go back to work the next day. It was a Sunday night. And in the conversation, I just decided to just cut loose and leave everything. And I was not prone to big jumps like that. This was a radical step for me. And but later, 6 months later, I looked back, by which time I'd bought my own copy of her book and I'd bought all her tapes, and I just started practicing every day at home. And then a few months later, I went to a workshop, and then another workshop, and then I knew that this was what I was going to be doing with my life. I just knew it. And at that point, I looked back and I was like, oh my God, that night, I decided to just leave everything. That was when I picked up her book. Whoa. It was like that. It happened that way. I realized later what had gone on. But something in me picked up her book. Something in me said, right, found her. Let's go. Yeah. And I did. And, and that was a long arc of amazing experience. And the 5 Rhythms in the 1990s, that was really exciting. It was electric, like she was such a pioneer. Not that there weren't anyone else doing stuff with conscious movement and improvised dance and stuff. There were, but her stuff was really electric. Mm. There was such a buzz around the 5 Rhythms. Susanna and Yakov were unbelievably strong in that too. And many, many very strong characters came up through that work and produced amazing bodies of work. And most of them have gone now. Most of them have gone off and done their own thing. And there's Soul Motion and Movement Medicine and Open Floor and Azul and 360 Emergence and ZeroOne. And but that time was very exciting, and I just, it was an amazing learning. It was an amazing learning to be so close to Gabrielle, and she mentored me one-to-one to work with emotional stuff through movement, what she calls the heartbeat map, and it was a very exciting time. Mm. But there came a time when she died in 2012, and I never thought I would leave. I was so loyal to the 5 Rhythms. I never thought I would leave. I began to feel like I didn't have room to grow, and around that time, I had this insight. I was staring. I found myself remembering something I was taught at school. There was one lesson I had at school that stood out beyond all the others. It was a maths lesson, and I was one of 6 nerdy lads. There's only 6 of us studying further maths, and we had this very inspiring teacher. And 10 minutes before the end of one lesson, he wiped the board clean and he said, "You don't need to know this for your exams. It's off syllabus, but I want to show you just how beautiful mathematics can get." Mm-hmm. And he wrote this equation with these 4 numbers, which equals 0 when they're put together in this certain pattern. And he inspired us totally. And a few years ago, I was looking back at that equation, and I started looking at it, and I was like, oh my God, I think I recognize that pattern. And I started investigating it through movement and inquiry. I just stared at it. It's like I stared at it with my whole being for months. But the first time I danced it, it was like having a Satori moment. It was like, it's hard to describe, but it was like I could see this equation everywhere. It was like it was in every tiny little bit of space around me and in the universe. It's like the universe is made of that equation. And that equation is Euler's identity. And if you want to look it up, EULER''S.
Yeah, I encourage people to listen to your video about it, which is
maybe I don't know. I think I packed too much into that video. It's a little hard to watch. It's a little dense. You don't think? I don't know. I want to make a simpler version of it.
Well, it's fascinating, and I've had people when I started telling friends that you were coming, they're like, "He's a genius! I saw the Euler's identity thing." So maybe you're not getting the right feedback.
Okay, that's nice to hear. But well, we did. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Well,
thank you. But suffice to say that those 4 numbers and their relationship to 0, they just are. It's like that's the nature of reality. And of course, the nature of reality shows up in numbers. Of course it does. Like Galileo said, the book of nature is written in the language of numbers. And so I was dancing these numbers, and then I had this. I was at a workshop with a fabulous French 5 Rhythms teacher called Marc Sylvestre. And do you know Marc?
No.
Yeah. No. Okay. French. Check him out, everybody. Is anywhere near Paris or France. Marc Sylvestre. I was at a workshop of his for the weekend, and he put us all in a 1 meter square box. He said, "Get into a 1 meter square box and feel how trapped you are." And then he kind of cranked up the pressure and the volume for a few minutes, and then he said, "Okay, now break out." And I went like, and I had the most explosive dance I've had for a really long time. And a day later, I was stepping off a train on my way home, and I suddenly felt it in my heart. I was like, "Oh my God, I've left the 5 Rhythms. I've left." I was so shocked. I was like, "Oh, I have to do something with these numbers. Oh shit." It was like that. I was like, "Oh shit, that's really a lot of work." And I just kept quiet about it for about a year, but slowly gathered my thoughts, and then I did it. Let everybody know, okay, I'm going to build something from these numbers. And so, yeah, ZeroOne is based on that pattern, although you don't have to know the pattern at all. Actually, you don't have to understand the numbers. I think of it as like, it's like the numbers it's like the operating system in my phone. Yeah. I can make a call with my phone, and I don't need to know how it works. It's like that with ZeroOne. You can dance, you can do the meditation without knowing what the numbers are. But there is a certain beauty.
The code behind it. Sorry.
Well, there's a beauty about the numbers. Just there's a like 0 for there's a beauty about 0, because we got a lot of names for God, and they're all a bit loaded. They're loaded with religions and culture and prejudices. And I like what 0 is. 0 is the absence of numbers. It's no thing. And that's what we've got right inside us, actually. That is that emptiness, that spaciousness, that stillness. That's the 0 zone. And it's a really big part of how I practice these and how I teach. And I do. I like numbers very much, and I will talk about that one sometimes when I'm teaching, because I think it's a nice. It's a relatively unloaded word for that thing, that no thing that we've called by 10,000 different names.
Beautiful. And then the 1?
Well, there's the 0 field, and then there's the 1, which is all of creation. All of creation is 1, actually. It's 1 dance, 1 life. It's 1. We are 1. That's the 1. And inside all of it is the 0. There's all of creation, and it's filled with spirit, all of it. Everything. Rocks, birds, us, trees, sky, stars, all of it filled with spirit. That's the one is filled with zero. The zero inside everything. Zero is the empty space inside of everything. And the one is actually a circle. Zero is not a circle. Zero is the space in the middle of the circle. One is a circle. One, all of creation is one big circle. Circle of life.